The final alternative to foreclosure that we're going to talk about is called the consent to judgment. Now what is that? And this is something that I use very frequently with my own clients. And sometimes the only problem they have is this mortgage deficiency. They have very minimal credit card debts, no medical bills, things like that. And if that's the case, what I really want, and if they're going to let the house go, is see if we can waive the deficiency so they don't have a problem. So the consent to judgment says, you know what, I'm going to stop messing with you in the foreclosure case, and I'll just consent to judgment if you agree to waive the deficiency and walk. Now, this is another reason for doing a really good foreclosure defense, because they're going to get tired of you defending the case, and maybe they think they got a problem. And so, if you come in and say, look, we'll stop for defending the foreclosure, but we'd really like you to waive the deficiency. We will consent to judgment. Very often they'll do that. I'm probably 60-40, 70-30 percentage-wise of getting that done. But in those cases when I can get that done, it's a wonderful thing. I avoid having to file a bankruptcy for someone because that was the only reason they were going to file, because of the deficiency. So this is something that you need to kind of sort of keep in your mind as a tool. If when you get kind of deeper into the process, if you have no other debts, nothing else you need to resolve, I think the consent to judgment is a good tool. But as with anything else, if you do get them to waive the deficiency by the consent to judgment, then you have to be aware potentially again of the tax implications. Then we're going back to those same things we talked about before: Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Relief Act, the insolvency provision, and or maybe the bankruptcy if that's necessary. But the whole point of the consent to judgment really would be typically to avoid the bankruptcy process if you can. All right. So there's really no form for consent to judgment. Really, it'd be more of you could either email the attorney or you could call them directly and say, look, can we do a consent to judgment? And they'll appreciate the fact that you know the proper term for that, and they will say, sure, we can consider that. I'll check with my client, and then either they'll approve it or they won't. All right. So that's kind of the final thing that you consider doing for the alternatives to foreclosure. But remember the tax implications potentially.